Okay, lesson 8, using unit analysis to convert measures. Remember unit, the word unit, write it down. Unit, it always, it means one. Circle it, underline it, put an exclamation point, star, highlight it, do something. Make yourself know that definition. Unit, I always mean one. Okay? So if it's a unit conversion, then I mean whatever you're multiplying by or you're using as a conversion. If I wrote it as a fraction, it's really just one. Now let me explain myself. Okay? If I said the unit conversion for feet to inches is 1 foot equals 12 inches, remember that we would write this as a fractional thing, right? So I put 1 foot over 12 inches to convert something from feet to inches or inches to feet, depending on how I'm doing it. Okay? And I can also write this the other way because these are equal. 12 inches over 1 foot. Okay? They're the same thing because everybody should know that there is a foot for every 12 inches, right? If you look at a ruler, it'll go to 12 inches. So this foot is actually 12 inches. So really what I'm saying is 12 inches over 12 inches. And everybody should know that 12 over 12 reduces to 1. Okay, so every unit conversion, every unit that we're going to be multiplying by will always be reducible to 1. That's why we're allowed to do it. Because there's an identity that says if I multiply anything by 1, it is itself. So I'm not changing its value. I'm just changing its label. Okay, I hope I did more good than damage with all that explanation, but let's just jump into a few examples to see where we are. Example 1, converting units of length. So a cheetah ran at a rate of 105,600 yards per, that's that fraction bar, hour. So 1 hour. Sounds a lot more cool when you say it like that. So, of course, we don't understand yards per hour. We're not taught in yards per hour. So what you would want to do is we would probably want to convert this to miles per hour. Let's see what the book asks us to do. How fast did the cheetah run in miles per hour? So, if I want to change yards to miles, I have to know either a 2-stage conversion or a 1-stage conversion. So if I know how many yards are in a mile, then I would use that conversion. If I don't, then I have to convert yards to feet, then feet to miles. Does anybody know how many feet are in a mile? 5,280 is correct. So, if you know that conversion, then you have to do the 2-stage. If you know the yards conversion, anybody know the yards conversion? 1760. Did you look in the book or did you know? Oh, okay. It is also in the book. If you know the yards conversion, then you would use that conversion. Your conversions, if you don't know them off the top of your head, are located in the back of your book. Okay, so use those. For this case, because I want to do a 1-step for our first problem, we're going to convert yards to miles. So I need to get rid of yards. Anytime I need to get rid of something, I put it on the other side of the fraction. So it was on top here, I'm going to put it on bottom there. Okay, and Wesley just told us that it was 1,760 yards in 1 mile. Okay, do not put M for mile. That is meter. I catch myself doing it as well, so that's why I warned you. Okay, so here you should know this is a unit conversion. Okay, I have a mile over a mile. They're just written in different labels. Okay, so that's multiplying by 1. That's why I'm allowed to do it. And then I just multiply straight across. When I did my 12 over 12, you notice that those canceled out. So here, on my yards will cancel out. Okay? And all I'm left with is the 2 labels that remain. So I'll have miles over hour. Okay, and then I'll take that number, that 105,600 miles per 1,760 hours. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say it like that, right? That sounds ridiculous. So you have to do that division to get you an actual answer that makes sense. So I'm going to do this division. When I take 105,600 and divide it by 1,760, I get a simple number. It's 60. But I have to remember my label. Miles per I will accept MPR when you're dealing with miles per hour. I understand that. So if you wanted to put 60 MPR, that's, or pH, sorry. Why do I keep saying MPR? MPH. That is absolutely fine. Okay? So either of those answers is completely acceptable. Go ahead and use them. Any questions about how I converted it yet? Because we're going to get multi-stage pretty quickly. All right. Let's go to example 2. But I need to explain something first. Remember that if you say 2 squared, that really means 2 times 2. And if I said 3 to the 4th, that really means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, it means it's that thing multiplied by itself that many times. So if I said m squared, I really mean m times m, right? So it happens twice. So when I'm converting things that are with units squared, that thing has to happen twice. So in example 2, we're going to talk probably about area. Area. It says find the area and convert for that unit of measure. A gymnasium measures 8.5 meters by 14 meters. The owner bought mats to cover the floor. Each mat is 110 centimeters square. So each one of them is 110 centimeters square. If 95 mats were purchased, are there enough mats to cover the floor? So first of all, I need to find out how much material was purchased. Bam. That's the information for that. How do I find the area of all of the mats together that were purchased? What do I have to do with these two numbers? What operation needs to be performed? I have to multiply. So I'll just take my 110 centimeters squared and multiply it by my total of 95 and get a answer of something larger than I wanted to do, I'm sure. Sorry. 95 times 110. 10,450. Remembering my label, it's still in centimeters squared. Okay, so why do I feel like we did that wrong? I don't have any exponents except for on my label. I don't feel like this is going to be enough. That's just my initial thought on it. So either the way that the wording in the problem is confusing or wrong, because it says each mat is 110 centimeters square. Now, when I read this, I read squared, right? So, my fault, my foul. What it means is each mat, so let me go ahead and erase this. Y'all guys should erase it in yours too. You just draw it out. It says that it's a square tile, and each side is 110 centimeters. So when I read it the first time, I said centimeters squared. See that little D at the end of square makes a huge difference here. So I don't actually know the area of my mats yet. I have to find it. So that's where I went wrong. So before we find the total area that each mat can cover, we need to find the area of the mat itself, because I misread the problem. So how do I find the area of this square? Length times width, and because it's a square, they're both the same. So 110 times 110 gives me 12,100. Okay. Now the only reason I was able to catch my mistake is because I knew that this number was going to end up being way too small for a gym. So now that I have my unit here, I'm going to write it bigger down below. For 12,100 centimeters squared. Now that I have that, I need to find out the total area. So I'm going to do that exactly like we did the last time, but I'm going to do it properly this time. So I'm taking that number and multiplying it by 95. That number will give me 1,149,500 centimeters squared. Do not forget your label. All right. Now I'm in a place where I can do something. So I'm going to need this number later, and I'll convert it here in a minute. So this is the total area that the mats do cover, and I need to find out how much area I need to get covered. So I can do one of two things. I can convert these beforehand, as in take them from meters to centimeters right away, and then find the area, which is probably easier for most of you. Or I can find the area and then convert it. Okay? I'm going to show you both ways just so that you can see the difference. How many centimeters are in a meter? 100, right? That's why they have a meter stick that's 100 centimeters long. Yep, and centa, the prefix, means 100, right? Like centipede. Alright. So, if I know this unit conversion, it makes it relatively easy to convert 8.5 meters to centimeters. So I automatically set this up and I put meters from the top and then I put it on the bottom because I know I got to get rid of it. And since I have a direct conversion, I'm going to put them like that. So for every 1 meter, there are 100 centimeters. My meters cancel out. I go straight across. 8.5 times 100 gives me 850 centimeters.
What is that abbreviation? Is that meters you marked up?
Yes. M is meters. Okay, so I use my unit conversion and I can flip it however I need to, but in the end I need to make sure that I only have one label. That's why I mark it out. Alright, so if you notice the pattern here, you're really just multiplying by 100, right? So I don't necessarily need to set this up for this second guy. I can just multiply by 100 right away because I'm going to use the same unit conversion. Or I can set it up again. Say it louder. 1,400 centimeters. Okay, so now I have a room that's still the same thing but in different units. That's 850 centimeters by 1,400 centimeters. Now I could just multiply that. That would make this just a tad bit easier than the other way that we're about to do. So 850 multiplied by 1,400 will give me a total area of 1,190,000. That's it. 190,000. Okay. 1,190,000 centimeters squared. So to answer the question, look at these two numbers, compare them. Do I have enough tile, enough mats? No, I'm missing a good chunk right here, right? So I need something like 40,500 more centimeters squared. Now, if I wanted to do this the other way, okay, if I wanted to do this the other way, I could convert this to meters. It doesn't really matter. Depends on if you want to work with big numbers or small numbers. I don't care which way you go with it, okay? The other way that you could have done this, so this was way 1. Way 2 would have been to take this 8.5 meters and multiply it by our 14 meters and get the smaller number. Thought that was right. 119 meters squared. Okay, so that number's kind of small. Now, if I would have done that, got my meter squared, and I needed to convert it, I would have done it the same way that I'd converted it a second ago. But remember that meter squared is really meters multiplied by meters, right? Because we multiplied these 2 meters right there. This is why it's extremely important to do this. So, that's over 1. If I'm going to get rid of meters, I need meters to happen 2 times. So I basically use my unit conversion twice. So I have 1 meter for every 100 centimeters, 100 centimeters, and then that meter cancels this meter, that meter cancels that meter, and we have got rid of all the meters. Everything's in centimeters. Now when I multiply centimeters times centimeters, I get centimeters squared. Okay, and I get the same answer. I get 1,190,000. 1, 2, 3. Wrote that a little too tight. But anyways, you get the same exact answer. So it doesn't matter which way you do it. If you're going to convert it before, A-OK by me. If you're going to convert it after, A-OK by me, but make sure that you do that unit conversion 2 times. All right. This was example 2, so we're going to be on example 3 now. Application converting units with volume. So since units with volume have something to the third power, or cubed, we're going to end up using our unit conversion 3 times. So let's just see what this is. A hose has a flow rate of 41,472, make sure I read this one right, cubic inches. So that would be inches cubed per hour. Filling up a pool. The volume of the pool is 1,104 cubic feet, so feet cubed.
Well, what was that? 1,406?
The volume of the pool. It's example 3. So this is flow rate right here. This is the volume of the pool. So the hose works in inches because it's probably smaller, and the pool is obviously the larger of the two things, and they measured that in feet. So we need to convert one to the other. I personally do not like big numbers, so I would probably go from this to this. Now, you want to make sure that you read the problem and know what you're answering, because you don't want to convert one to the other and then go, crap, they want it in the other unit. Okay? So make sure that you read the final problem and make sure that you answer the problem the way they ask you to. How many hours will it take to fill the pool? So they're just asking for how many hours. So I'm going to go ahead and convert this one because I want to deal with smaller numbers. Okay, so inches in a foot. We know that unit conversion, right? There are 12 inches in 1 foot. Everybody should know that one. So I take my 41,472 inches. I say that 3 times because it happens 3 times. Over 1 hour. I'm going to go ahead and start my unit conversion. Because I have inches happening 3 times, I have to do it 3 times. So my conversion, because I'm going to need inches on bottom, is going to be 12 inches, 12 inches, and 12 inches over 1 foot. Or sorry, 1 foot over 12 inches. I said that backwards. So I do this so that I can mark out those inches, these inches, and the final inches. Now I have feet times feet times feet. So my answer, I know, is going to be something feet cubed. And it should be over 1 hour because I marked everything else out on bottom. Okay. So do my conversion. I'm going to take 41,472. I'm going to divide it by 12 3 times. Or I can multiply that 12 out and then divide it by that big number. That will be 12 to the third, which is 1,728. You can do it either way, I don't mind. So if you divide it by 12 3 times, that's fine. You're going to get 24. So the hose operates, remember that we just converted the flow rate, operates at 24 feet cubed per 1 hour. So, bless you. So I have my flow rate and I have my volume. I'm going to find my answer using those 2 things. Now, I always want to think of a smaller problem to help you understand why we're doing what we're doing. If I have a gas tank that is 20 gallons and the gas station pumps at a rate of 10 gallons per minute, how long is it going to take me to fill up my tank? 2 minutes. What'd you do? Multiply.
Well, it says, well, 10 is half of 40.
Oh, I see where you're going. So you use a little more common sense. But in reality, what you're doing in the long haul is you're taking the number of gallons that you have available, right, and dividing it by your flow rate. So if you take 20, which was 20 gallons, and divide it by 10, which was our flow rate, you get 2. So 2 minutes. A little bit of common sense would tell you just to double it, right? And that's what he did. So I'm going to take my volume, 1,104 feet cubed, and I'm going to divide it by my flow rate. My flow rate was a fraction, right? So I want to show you. We can't divide fractions, we have to do what with them? We have to multiply by their reciprocal. So the reciprocal of this is it flipped, so it's 1 hour over 24 feet cubed. So if I rewrite this, I end up with feet cubed over feet cubed, so they cancel. Yay. I get 1,104 divided by 24, which gives us 46 hours. This is going to take a while. Now I don't remember how many gallons, but I'm sure there is a conversion for it. But there's several gallons in a cubic foot. So alright. This may be useful if you ever actually get a pool this large and you know the flow rate of your hose. Why would anybody need that? If you own a pool and you want to fill it up, I don't imagine that you are going to let your hose run at 46 hours straight. Probably going to increase your system to go at a higher flow rate. So a quick mathematical conversion will tell you that it's going to take way too long to fill that thing up. Or if opening day is Monday, you should probably start filling it up in the weekend, not the day of, right? Yeah. Maybe the rain will help. Massive amounts of it. Okay, example 4. Foreign travel converting units of currency. This is one, when I went to Mexico, it just blew my mind how much they spent on everything, and then I did the conversions, and it was a lot less than what you thought. So, let's see if this one follows the same way. This one's in euros. That's what they use in Europe. So Jared and his family are going on vacation to Europe. He takes $225. That's very sad. With him. He needs to exchange this amount for its equivalent value in euros. If the current exchange rate, because the current exchange rate changes constantly, is €1 to every $1.36 of ours, what are the value of Jared's $225 in euros? So all I am is going to convert from dollars to euros. Okay? So if I have dollars on top and I need to convert it, I'm going to take $225. I'm going to put it over 1 so that I can start my conversion. I have to have dollars on bottom to get rid of that dollar sign. Okay? So here it is, $1.36 over €1. So in reality, I'm just dividing them, right? So I take my 225, I multiply it by 1, and I get, again, my 225. And I'm dividing it by 1.36. When I divide that amount, I get my total transferred euros into euros. So it's 165.44 euros. Most of these conversions that are one step, we can do those in our head. But when it comes into those multi-step ones, which are the ones you're going to end up doing down the road, you have to be able to do multiple steps. So, while they're easy, guys, take advantage and learn the method while they're easy. When they get harder, then those two will be easy.